Welcome back. Episode 114 here on the podcast. Very exciting day.
114 or 115?
114, because I think we just published 113. Am I wrong? This is what you do. You every time I say a date.
It might be 114.
You're always like, I was like, oh, it's been like 10 years. You'd be like, it's been 9.
It's been 9 years and 7 months would be my response. 100%. Because I like to be factual.
Were you like this in school?
Yeah.
Were you the most popular person in school because of that?
No. You're right. 114.
Jeez. Okay, apologize in front of people.
Sorry.
Okay, don't let it happen again.
I will admit when I'm wrong.
Well,
I'm not wrong a lot, but I will admit it.
Wait till the cameras turn off. You got a solid hour of just.
This podcast episode's gonna be about 3 hours long today.
Do you know that feeling when your mom would be like, "Wait till your father gets home,"
and you're just like counting down the minutes because you know when he's coming home?
Yep.
Yeah. Or when you would get in trouble somewhere, and then your dad would be like, "Wait till we get home," and you're like, "I don't ever want to go home."
I want you to feel that fear right now.
Then you ask to go to like a friend's house so you wouldn't have to go home.
Exactly. Speaking of fear, you and I wanted to talk about this for a long time on the podcast here is natural birth. No, I'm kidding.
Very real fear.
Very real fear. Don't do it. I wouldn't suggest it, but
just get the epidural.
Just get it. You never got the epidural. What are you talking about?
I got it once.
It didn't work.
And it didn't work.
Yeah,
so.
You got it too early.
But we wanted to talk about the crazy news that's been big Idaho news lately.
It's kind of not. It's all over the country. That's the wild.
It's national news, but it's our home state or our state that we're living in.
So it's the Idaho killer.
If you haven't heard of this story,
break people down. I give them that like the synopsis of. Don't go in the details, but give them like what the gist happened.
So if you haven't heard, which would be very surprising because I feel like everybody's heard of it. It's all over, national news. In November, I want to say like middle of November.
I want to say December.
It was November 13th, actually.
Do you see how that feels? You know the date. Okay, go ahead. November 13th. Go ahead.
There were 4 college kids found murdered
in Moscow, Idaho.
In Moscow, Idaho, at the University of Idaho campus. It wasn't in the dorms. They were in a home that they were renting. 4 of them found dead in their rooms. They were saying probably while they were sleeping. And then it came out that there was 2 people who had survived.
Of the 4? Or there were 2 more people?
There were 6 more people. So there were 6 total.
Uh-huh.
And then 4 of them were stabbed.
Okay.
Fatally. Very gruesome. It was very, very shocking, very sad. And then it came out that 2 of them were actually still in the home while this happened.
4 people lived there. 4 people stabbed and killed.
I think it was the 5 girls that lived there, and then one of the girls' boyfriend was spending the night.
Okay.
So his girlfriend, the 2 of the other gals were the ones who were stabbed. And
the guy was stabbed too? Mm-hmm. Oh, I didn't know that.
Did you not
I thought only the girl.
No, it was. Did you read the story?
You're so mean. No, I did not. I just watched the news.
Yeah, it was. So I think it was the 3 girls that were stabbed, and then one of the girls' boyfriend.
Okay.
And I think it was such national news. Well, obviously, it's a very heartbreaking, sad, just horrible thing that happened. But also, they didn't know, there was no leads. At least that's what the public assumed. Okay. Because nothing was coming out. People were like, we don't know who it could have been. There's just nothing.
No suspects.
So people were like who could it have been? And so people were kind of deep diving and trying to figure out what happened. Meanwhile, the police weren't revealing anything. They kept everything close to, what is it called? Close to the belt. Is that how you say it? There's a term for
definitely
it.
Not it. Well, no, it's not important. We get it.
Anyway.
It's close. Yeah, they keep it tight-knit on it.
Yeah. But because of that, people were assuming that they didn't know anything either. And so people were getting frustrated and mad. And why doesn't the police aren't doing their job?
Why there are no suspects that being revealed?
Yeah. But while everybody was assuming this, the police already had their sights set on somebody because...
Allegedly.
we
Do
have
I
to
need
say
to
allegedly.
remind you of the JFK scenario that we just found out 50 years later that
Allegedly.
the CIA was involved in killing of our former president?
We need to, should we dive into that?
No.
sometime?
That's a mouthful. Don't do that.
So fast forward, let's say it was right around after Christmas, I believe.
Hold on.
All of a sudden, it was breaking news that the police have a suspect.
Okay. Pause. Okay. Let's dive in a little bit more into the details of what we knew, what the most people always know.
Oh, well, I thought you said not to dive into the details.
We can no.
Oh, okay.
No, don't start breaking things. Don't give me your conclusion right away. Lead the people on to.
Well, there was nothing. It was silent. From November until the end of December, people were going crazy because there was nothing. There was one thing that the police asked that they were looking for a car.
Okay.
It was, I think, sometime in December. They were like, "Hey, there's a white Hyundai Elantra or something like that."
First of all, dork already. Anybody who's driving a Hyundai Elantra is a dork.
Maybe it was like a 2015 or something.
Hyundai, Daewoo, or a Kia. No offense, Kyle. My bad, didn't. No offense. but when you're that young, dork.
Well, maybe it was a new car.
It might. Well,
the new Hyundais are
not. I will say the new Hyundais are dope. Kyle, shout out to the new ones. Those are real. No. Okay. So you got 5 people who are living there. 1 boyfriend spending the night over.
And so that was like a whole shock to everybody. Why did he stab just the 4 people who were on the, I believe, the second and the third floor, and then 2 of the gals? They just were like, why? They were sleeping through it all, supposedly, is what the public thought. Because that's nothing came out. The police were tight-lipped. That's maybe what I was thinking of, the word.
Tight-lipped. Oh, yeah, tight belt. Is that close to the belt? Is that what you said?
Yeah, so close to the belt.
Yeah.
I'm going to look that up later because I feel like...
So here's I want you to... First, I want to, like, layman's terms, like, break this down. So is there any insight about how the guy came into the house? Did somebody open the door for him and they're like, what are you doing here?
Well, this is what I was going to explain. Fast forward to December... all of a sudden it's like breaking news that the police have found they have a suspect.
Okay.
And it's this guy named Brian Koberger, right? I believe. They found him in Pennsylvania because that's where his parents live, and he had apparently gone there during Christmas break. And the SWAT team came over to their house, arrested him, took him into custody, and then he got what's the word? Extradited?
Kyle, thoughts?
Is that the right word?
the right word.
Here to Idaho.
Yeah.
Because there's all these rules you have to go through when somebody's out of state.
What is extradited?
The state takes him from another state. They have to
it's just a cross state line
it's just
jurisdiction thing. Yeah,
it's a jurisdiction thing for sure.
It's a change of
So
shift.
they had to get permission basically from the other state. Anyway, it was a whole thing. Just like when it's out of the country, you have to get
Right. So you get extradited out of the country. So I just learned a new word. Okay, so go ahead.
So that happened, and then during this all this stuff started coming out about how they found him, and it was a lot of it.
Well, don't go in there because that's one of the things that in the earlier stages that there's a lot of confusion about with what forensics can do. They got 100 forensics people on the case. I think FBI, right?
Yeah, they
Was
had
it
FBI on
It
the
was
case.
FBI. It was 100
They had national and local
in little town of Moscow,
Moscow.
Idaho, which is it's kind
It's
of
a college town.
It's a college town in the desert, essentially. It's like Wazoo near Spokane.
It's very close to Washington State.
Yeah,
I believe it's only 7 miles between the
Really?
two schools.
I didn't realize.
It's really close.
Oh, I didn't realize
yeah.
they're both the same thing.
Very
so they're
close.
kind of in the middle of nowhere. You move there to get away from, to have the college experience. It's a small town, not a large community.
a lot of stuff going on.
You're really going to get away with drunk driving for sure. That's
Oh,
a thing.
yeah.
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 It's I actually have a story. I had a buddy who, when I was 20, in my early 20s, and I get a call while I was living with my folks, and it says from one of my buddies. I'm not going to say his name, but I get a call, and I'm waking up in the middle of the night. Could have been 2:00 in the morning, and I go hello, and they go, hey, is this Alex? And I was like, yeah. I wasn't that peppy at 2:00 in the morning, but he was like,
You
yeah.
were more yeah.
And they're like, so I have your friend here. And I was like, can you come pick him up? And I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, because I know who called, right, from his phone. And I was like, oh yeah, that's my buddy so-and-so. He's a good guy. I'm so sorry. Like, yeah, he's drunk, sleeping in our driveway, or the ditch of this driveway, because there's like two ditches and a culvert and then a driveway. And I was like, yeah, I'll come pick him up. And they're like, I was like, where are you? And they're like, I don't know where you are, but we're close to the Wazoo campus. And I was like, oh, I'm not getting it.
I'm not going there.
I'm not getting it. So he went out. His brother
How did they find you?
So his brother goes to that school. He doesn't go to that school.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
He's visiting his brother. Yeah, he's visiting his brother. We ran into him not too long ago.
Why didn't they call his brother?
I will lead to that. I don't know what his brother's titled inside. Maybe his brother didn't pick up. Maybe I was second in command. Maybe they called the brother. Brother wasn't picking up because they were both partying, and maybe I was second in command. But my name is saved in his phone book as Alex Homie.
Alex Homie.
So
they're like, this has got to be a guy who will pick him up.
So the fire department teaches people, the civilians, that you should have your emergency contact have their first name and then ICE as their last name, ICE, in capital letters. And what that does is when they unlock your phone because you're unconscious for whatever reason, IC stands for in case of emergency.
Oh.
And so you call them. So homie is the next one.
The next one down from in case of emergency.
Yeah.
Homie.
Yeah. So that's kind of how that worked out. And so I was like, yeah, I'm not picking up. Let him sleep it off. Like whatever.
I'm not driving. What is it from Seattle?
It's like a 4 hour.
Oh, yeah.
No, I don't think it's 8. No, it might be a solid 5.
Yeah.
I think it's a solid 5.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not doing that.
Let him sleep it off.
Let him sleep it off. Yeah, he's not in imminent danger. This is not a call from Liam
He's
Neeson.
Just passed out in
saying he needs my help. Yeah.
House.
So that was my experience with Wazoo. That's how I kind of know that.
I love that. That's your experience, is like not even actually being there.
I technically could say I'm an alumni.
Getting a phone call from somebody.
Once a Wazoo, always for good. Let's go Tigers.
I've actually never been up north to Moscow.
Yeah.
Idaho.
You should visit.
I'm okay for now. But I've always wanted to go up there because I've lived in Idaho since I was
Let's be honest.
8.
Is it really that Idaho? Like, it's such an outskirts of Idaho.
It is. I mean, it's still Idaho. It's still part of the state.
It is, but it's such a small part. Like, there's like.
But they say so. I think Coeur d'Alene is up there too, and I've heard really good things about Coeur d'Alene.
Coeur d'Alene's beautiful.
So it's like kind of that. I just always wanted to go up to see that area because I think it's important to see your whole state.
Yeah. You're the one that's visiting these national parks.
Yeah.
So the whole thing about this whole killing situation is they have 100 agents on this case in this little tiny town, and they have no leads. The argument is that they have leads, but they're not releasing them, so they're kind of being conservative.
And that was the whole thing, is they didn't say anything, but I think some people were like, they don't know anything. The police aren't doing their job. They're like just letting this like go on and on without having anything. And then I think some people assumed, obviously, they're just not releasing information because if they do, they won't catch the suspect. He's going to figure out that they're after him. Anyway, so they were being very tight-lipped to make sure that everything went the right way. And it did, because then they were able to find evidence leading up to his arrest. Mm-hmm. So one of the things was, while he was driving with his dad to Pennsylvania, he got pulled over twice by police. Mm-hmm.
Did they say what the infractions were?
Well, they gave him warnings, but
he was driving the Hyundai or the
Hyundai.
Kia. Was it the Kia or Hyundai?
It's a Hyundai. Elantra, I believe. Yeah. A white one.
Hyundai like Sunday. That's what the old marketing term was like 10 years ago.
Hyundai like a Sunday?
Yeah.
I have never heard that.
Yeah, 10 years. Not like a Sunday. Don't say it so slow. But they did a thing on TV every time they marketed like Hyundai like Sunday.
Oh.
Because then people would say Hyundai, and they're like,
oh, Hyundai. Oh, like I see.
Yeah, so somehow they wanted to correct people. But so they don't know what he got. So the police
pulled him over. Mm-hmm. Well, what they told him was he was following too closely, which
to the murder.
That could have been a double meaning. You're following too closely.
Yeah, my snout is out.
So that was his thing. But looking back now, apparently they had pulled him over to check if he had cuts on his arms, because usually when you're stabbing somebody, it's very messy.
Yeah.
And you get defensive.
First of all,
wounds.
why are you so well versed in stabbing?
I listen to so many true crime podcasts. I know everything.
This girl's on a roll. Okay, so they were suspicious of him already. They're looking if he's got all these like markings.
So I think, I'm not sure the details, but I believe they were pretty suspicious that it was him after they located the car and found out who it was registered to. And then footage of the car driving and the fact that it was driving back to the Washington State campus. They kind of started piecing things together.
How did they capture that? How did they land on the fact that it's the Hyundai? Like, that's the car.
So this is what was in I believe in the affidavit that they had released to the public. His car drove that night in like around that neighborhood 3 times. So he came in, drove, turned around and left 3 times before he stopped. And like, I don't think there's footage of him like getting out of the car, but they kept seeing that car. And it's like, I'm sure they were like, this seems so suspicious, especially after they're doing so much deep diving into like everything. They're literally chasing every single lead that they see this. I'm sure it seems so suspicious that this car just kept like going past the street 3 times, the same exact car.
Did he whisper Bloody Mary every time he did it?
Bloody Mary. And then,
hey, don't mess around, okay? I didn't say the whole
it's
time.
It's not dark, and I didn't say it 3 times, and I didn't spin around.
We're in the middle of the Harry Potter trilogy right now, so
we're almost at the end.
Do not even try to cast any spells right now. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Guardian Leviosa.
Do not.
What's the one that kills people? Starts with an A.
I don't know.
Expecto Patronum.
Yeah.
Oh,
Expecto Patronum.
Oh, Kyle with the hot spells.
Yeah.
All right, get him. Okay.
Expelioso.
I didn't know I'm sitting in the midst of witches.
Wizards.
Well, one witch, one wizard. My apologies. I didn't know you're a Hogwarts alum. Okay, go ahead.
6-year term. And then they I think while they were tracking that, they went back and saw that he had gone there 12, I believe, other times to that.
They captured it through like Ring cameras? Or?
Yes, I believe not that house, but like on that street, different cameras.
Cameras captured.
So they were able to capture the car. Obviously not close enough because they didn't know it was that car. They didn't know it was a Hyundai. They didn't know the license plate or anything. They had to figure that out.
Wow.
So are you shocked?
I am shocked. Well, the fact that it's actually kind of interesting how technology is getting to the point, and it's the same thing that Tesla is doing. So the reason why Tesla is and this is completely off subject, but the point of the matter that I'm going with is the reason why Tesla is one of the leading electric vehicles out there is because of the software of the database. Like they can register other vehicles that are out there, and they already have the map planned out. Same thing with Ring. Ring has now a database of
I think it was still far enough away where they couldn't exactly make out like exactly what car it was. Obviously couldn't see the license plate. But then they started tracking like other places maybe where they could have seen that car and somehow found that same car driving to the Washington State campus at the same time. That's what I think they were doing. They were trying to figure out time slots where they could possibly see that car driving after the murders, because they obviously were able to figure out what time-ish the murders had taken place. Wild to me that like they can just narrow down by. Well,
if you think about it, that's all storylines, right? You and I don't know if we ever shared this on the podcast, but like I'm gonna say 4 years, you're gonna say 3 years ago. We had my truck broken into when we launched the boat in McCall, and they stole your purse. And in about an hour and a half, they racked up a couple of grand in
on our cards,
tobacco connections, and a liquor store.
It was and a grocery store.
Yeah, and this is a group of hooligans that were coming from Oregon, stole a car, got to Idaho, and then did their whole hoorah in Idaho, and then went to somewhere
Wyoming or something. Yeah.
And they caught the person, but finally I was like, hey, can you tell me a story of like what happened? And they were like, well, they broke into an Airbnb. They have a pill problem, painkiller problem. They went to the local hospital. They got discharge paperwork. They threw the discharge paperwork in the trash of the Airbnb.
Yeah, idiots.
Police came, raided the Airbnb that was broken into, found discharge paperwork, saw the name. This is how silly it is. They typed into Facebook this person's name. They didn't go into the CIA headquarters.
No, they were like literally Facebook. How do I Google this
Facebook
person?
saw the person's face, and then when we were charged on our credit card statement of the $1,000 they racked up at the liquor store, they looked at the security cam footage timestamp.
It's all about timestamps.
It's all timestamp.
Yeah, once they can figure out like when one thing took place, they find out the next like thing that had taken place after that, and that's how they narrowed it down to him. Is like everything started lining up with this car, and it was the car that took them to him. And then he left, and it's crazy because at this point he was still in Idaho, but they needed, I think, more evidence.
Probable cause.
Figure out.
Kind of makes you wonder, why did they detain and be like, you're being questioned, like you're under like investigation, because that's a thing they do.
Yeah,
because you could flee to Canada and good luck.
I think they wanted enough probable cause, because if you don't have that, once he gets arrested, they have to let him go.
I don't think. I think anytime. Listen.
And also, I think they had to be 100% sure. They were not going to.
No, honey, do you know how many times people get arrested and they're just a suspect? Like, and not to.
Well, and that's the thing is like, they wanted.
The guy could disappear. Like he could literally.
Well, that's
just
why
go
they were
off
tracking him, to make sure he didn't disappear.
You think that while he was free, they were still like, we got an eye.
Oh
on him.
yeah,
You think so?
There's no way. So that was the thing. I think if they had any kind of suspicion that he was going to flee the country, they would have arrested him sooner. They just were tracking him to see like maybe he would slip up somewhere. Maybe he would give them more evidence by like, which he did, because they found him throwing away trash in a neighbor's trash can, and it was like he had like rubber gloves on and like throwing so I mean, I think they got enough where they were like, okay, he's still doing some weird things.
What was in the trash? Did they look into it? Was this some
I don't think it's
parts?
been revealed.
I swear,
I bet it was like cleaning supplies and cleaning stuff.
I swear, if the only reason he was prompted to throwing away trash into another man's trash bin was because
his wife.
No, if it's because his bin is already full and it's trash day, lock him up. Death penalty.
Lock that SOB up.
Do you know?
If his trash is full and that's the only reason he's putting trash in his neighbor's trash bin,
you've been pushing me.
That guy deserves to go to jail.
You've been pushing me before, but I only now see the clarity of it. I know you've been pushing me for not a long time, but a long enough time ago about getting a second trash bin. And my argument's always like, where are we going to put it? We don't have any place to put it. But then going like, we never have enough trash to go. We either too much recycle or
well, that's the thing. It's like, it's either we keep the one trash can and just have trash bags laying around the trash can because we're still having to put them somewhere.
Listen, I swear.
Or we get another trash can.
I swear, if some asshole decides to throw one picker upper or what's the Downy bags, whatever they are, into my trash bin, I'm calling the FBI. I'm getting a SWAT team on this guy.
That guy.
He might be a killer. I don't know.
Sounds like a
crazy
person.
They caught him disposing something. Might be cleaning supplies. They probably not enough probable cause to be like, this is something that's important.
But it was like, I think enough of those little things that had happened that they were obviously still trying to find when they pulled him over to see if he had like any kind of defensive wounds on his wrists.
Defensive wounds, okay.
And then they waited till he got to his parents' house.
Okay.
In Pennsylvania.
You got 5 girls, 1 dude living. The guy died as well. The guy, the boy, the guy and he died as well.
So it was him, his girlfriend in one room, and then the other 2 girls were in a different room.
Were they in the same room? The 2 girls? They were sharing a room. Okay.
Yeah.
Any insight about anybody opening the door, letting him in, or is it like a break-in kind of thing?
So in
4 o'clock in the morning, I believe, right?
Yeah, they say it happened around 4:15, somewhere in that time, or they said like between 4:10 and like 4:20.
Okay. That's an easy way to say 4:15.
4:15-ish.
See how that works?
I need to be more accurate, just in case somebody calls me out.
You think this is on the record? Do you think what you're doing right now is on the? You're going
we
to be
are
calling
news right now.
Yeah,
we're your news source.
We're the Mosby boys. Okay, so it's 4 o'clock in the morning. One dude 3 girls die, 5 live in the house. Where is the 5th girl?
So no,
Or
so
the
there was
4th girl?
6 of them in the house at that time.
Now there's 6.
5 girls
Live there.
Live there. He came.
So what happens to
spend
the
night.
other girl?
So
Or the other 2 girls, sorry.
So the boyfriend and his girlfriend were in one room. The other 2 girls who were like best friends were in the other room. I believe it was like on the 2nd and 3rd floor.
Mm-hmm.
And then I believe there was bedrooms on the 1st floor. And that's the 2 girls that were not stabbed were on the 1st floor. So I don't like obviously he had intent as to who he wanted to kill.
Okay.
Otherwise, why leave the other 2 girls?
And they heard nothing?
So then it came out after he got arrested, and the affidavit came out with the probable cause, and one of the girls ended up telling the police that she saw him.
Where? What was it?
In the house.
In the house.
So apparently she heard noises. She was in her room. They were all home. They all got home at like different times because I think they were all at different parties.
Okay.
The one girl was home. She thought she heard like her roommate playing with her dog at first. She opened the door, didn't see anything. Closed the door. Then again, she thought she heard like crying. Opened the door, didn't see anything. And I think the 3rd time she opened it, she saw this man walking with a mask. And they don't say what kind of mask it was. It might have been like a COVID mask. It might have been just one of those like
neck gaiters, yeah,
put up to his nose. But she said she saw just his eyes, and he had like bushy eyebrows, walk right past her and to the sliding doors, which I believe were the back exit to the house.
She had nothing to be like, I should call somebody.
So apparently in the affidavit, it says that she was frozen in shock and that she closed the door immediately. And it doesn't say what happened after that, but apparently she closed the door and just was shocked until noon the next day.
Frozen and shocked, and she thawed the next day.
I don't know. It's
Kyle,
kind of...
You buying this?
People are asking...
Hold on. I want to hear this other perspective.
Some of the rumors are that it was like a party house, so there's lots of people.
Oh, it's an open door policy.
So they were
thing?
just like
maybe it's someone new that she hasn't seen.
Oh, so it's an open door policy house, maybe one of those kind of things where people come in.
Well,
and
why
out.
didn't she just say that then? Like, we had lots of people over at our house. I just thought it was nobody. But her story is she was frozen in shock. She was so shocked. And a lot of people, I mean, there's so much speculation, which is really hard to say because I am a person who freezes under pressure. So I don't know what I would do. I don't know that I would at least call somebody. Yeah. I think if that happened, I would call you.
Not 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning.
Like, honey.
I had a call at 2 o'clock in the morning. I turned that call down.
No, I feel like I would call those friends that I thought I heard crying.
Yeah, call your roommate and be like,
I would call them and be like, hey, did you guys see somebody or did somebody walk by? Are you guys okay? I don't know. I feel like I would call at least them first, even if I felt like I was overreacting.
You're a classic case of see something, say something. Yeah. You know what I mean?
But it was really weird because she didn't call anybody. Part of me wonders if she like passed out because from the shock and didn't wake up till.
What is she? One of those scaring goats, fainting goats?
Yeah.
No.
It could be though.
She could have been scared. She could have been scared,
Yeah.
and she could have had a thought in her mind, be like, "Well, what if it's one of my roommates' friends who's a creepo and he's here and they're just whatever?
Yeah.
I don't want to be
She's
like this
I'm
party
gonna
fouler."
Close this door. Yeah.
When you're that young, you're like, could you imagine if it's nothing and you call the cops and they showed up? But yeah, you're right. You got to call at least a friend.
I think when you're young, you feel like you're overreacting. You don't want to be like weird or too overbearing. You know, you're trying to like play it cool. It could be that. I think a lot of people are like very confused as to why they waited because apparently the murders allegedly happened around, like we said, 4:15 in the morning. A call wasn't placed to the police until almost noon the next day.
And when did they discover the dead bodies?
When they came. And the crazy thing is...
So she called...
We don't know who called. It was either her or the other roommate. Okay. One of them.
But
one of them called because they said one of the friends was unconscious. That's all she said.
Okay.
So there was nothing that we know of about her saying that I think my roommates are dead. They got stabbed. all we know is there was a call placed about somebody being unconscious. So I'm wondering if that other roommate found the one that saw Brian, the suspect.
Yeah.
If she like passed out and her friend found her later and was like, called the cops because she's like, my roommate's unconscious, and then they came and then they found the bodies. I don't know. I think the police are releasing only certain things, and so I think it's confusing for all of us who are reading these things because we don't have the whole picture. We just have pieces of the puzzle, and so we're trying to assume things based on those pieces. Do you know what I mean?
Let me ask you something.
Like, I'm sure it will come out later, like what actually happened when she saw him, what happened between 4 and 12, but we don't have that information, right?
Interesting.
Because they're keeping that still
also,
quiet.
Also, nobody slept between 4 and 12. So you're up at 4 o'clock in the morning.
No, we don't know what happened.
No. So like, it seems that everybody was up, or at least half the people.
No, they were dead.
No. We're awake up to that 4 o'clock mark, right?
We don't know that. So apparently when everything came out, the police had said it seems like they were murdered in their sleep based on their wounds. Like there wasn't a lot of like fighting back. But another thing that came out was the girl with the boyfriend, she was ordering Uber Eats at 4 a.m, right before it happened. So she had to have been awake.
You know how they say like how terrible it is to go to bed on a full stomach? Could you imagine getting murdered on a full stomach? Are you bloated for the rest of eternity? I don't want to make light of this situation. I really don't. I'm trying to break it all down. Am I wrong to think
that was a good meal? Yeah.
No, it's not. 4 o'clock in the morning, you got Taco Bell. That's all it is.
That's true.
Okay, so.
But it's crazy because they were saying her phone was pinging like she was on TikTok literally moments before he came in. So I'm guessing, was probably alive. Or, sorry, awake.
So your theory is the two girls that were not stabbed. One girl saw the guy
as he was leaving,
fainted, quote unquote, unconscious or froze unconscious. And then the other girl that was not stabbed saw her friend being unconscious or
later. She found her later.
And then when the cops showed up to check on her,
they
also saw.
I'm wondering if that's what happened.
Dead.
Yeah.
What a coinkydink.
I'm wondering if that's what happened, or if there's more to the story. We're only hearing that part of it.
Kyle, you buying this? What's your perspective on this right now?
Oh no, there are some rumors that that they were saying like she was passed out because that's all that the 911 operator could like hear.
Oh, because she was so.
So the report, that's like all they got to write down.
She was probably freaking out.
So she was probably hyperventilating, and then probably nothing on the phone, like they didn't say goodbye or anything like that. Yeah. And then she's like, "Ma'am, are you there? Are you there?" And they're like,
"So that's probably what was recorded." So when they say what she called about, that's all they heard.
Okay, I'm buying it.
That would make more sense because I'm like, why? Like, what happened?
Okay.
How did it?
Okay, so best case scenario, she truly did faint because of that. Okay, cool. The other friend just saw her,
or she's the one that called later, but was like hyperventilating, freaking
she's
out.
freaking out. I could see it. But also, was there any call logs that she also called somebody else? Like she called her dad, she called like her.
I don't know that part. Okay. I do know before all the murders, the two girls that were stabbed, that were friends, were calling like an ex-boyfriend for a really long time, or a few times, and he didn't answer. But that was like all I heard.
Okay. So, all right. So that happened. That's how they got inside on the car that he's traveling in. Being a small area, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of cameras and street footage that you can capture that car, see where it's headed. They pulled him over twice, probably out of suspicion, got a good eye on him.
Now they were following him the whole way.
So did his dad come pick him up, or was he driving? How does his dad's situation come in?
I believe his dad maybe flew to Washington State.
Is this break? This is Christmas break, probably. So
and drove with him. So I do know that his dad and him drove together back to Pennsylvania. So I'm wondering if his dad flew there so that he wouldn't have to drive alone. I don't know that part.
That's another weird part. You're in college. I'm going to fly.
Yeah.
And we're going to drive back together. That's a little weird.
Unless he's really close to his parents.
Unless that's very true. Or maybe another option is during Christmas break, maybe the roads are pretty bad going up to Pennsylvania. So
I could see that.
Yeah,
It
they're like,
snows a lot in Pennsylvania,
yeah,
especially coming from Idaho. That's a long drive.
yeah. So maybe that's like,
Maybe he's like, Dad, come drive with
I
me.
can kind of see it. How old is the kid?
He's 27.
Hold on a second.
No, sorry, 24.
Hold on a
How old
second.
is he, Kyle?
I
Do you
think
know?
he's 28.
Oh, 28.
Kyle's
yeah, he's
our
a
fact
graduate
checker.
student. Fact
Wait.
checker.
Why is he? Oh, he's doing his undergrad.
No,
Or, sorry, his
graduate. So he's in the graduate program at
Oh,
Washington State. So
okay. Got it. Okay. So you're
Which
26.
also,
Hold on.
if
You're
you haven't heard the
26
story,
years old.
there's another
He's 28.
28.
Your dad has to come and drive with you at 28?
Him and his dad are best friends, probably. I don't know.
Okay.
His dad looks really nice.
Okay. He might be. I wonder.
I feel like my mom would do that if I asked her.
Yes. But you're being a girl. But I could only see that if the boy is like a spaz. If he's like a spaz and you're like, like on the spectrum and, mom's still like getting his clothes, like buys him his clothes like that he wears. Like, I kind of get that. So they're like, well, but also at that point, you might as well just buy your kid a ticket to fly back home.
Mm-hmm. What if you told his dad what he did?
Oh. And he's like, we need to.
I'm coming. Yeah.
Oh.
Because now I'm seeing as I.
What's your source? What are you jumping onto?
I typed in Brian Koberger dad. I wanted to see a picture of him. He looked like a nice.
Okay,
this is them getting pulled over.
You're not that's the nice guy. The dad looks like he's high on something, and the son looks like he's.
The dad looks like he's he actually looks really young.
Okay, is this your move on a dad? What are you doing?
But I just saw a story that says, father of accused killer Brian Koberger cleans up shattered glass from his front door and broken window blinds that were damaged. Oh, after SWAT.
Oh.
So he was cleaning it up. Poor guy. Yeah, I don't know. I think majority of me thinks that his parents didn't know. I don't think he told them. But how crazy would it be if
his dad's like, okay, we'll get this cleaned up.
He's like, okay, I'm coming to get you. We're gonna drive and figure out a story.
Yeah.
You come.
Yeah, maybe he called like, Dad, I did a thing. Now here's what I heard. Okay, so let's jump into the bust of him, and then I will fill in the in between. So how did the bust happen?
So SWAT came over to his house, and apparently if they busted a window. They were like really.
Well, that's what SWAT
came
does.
in
They're
hot.
just doing SWAT stuff.
Just SWAT doing SWAT.
What made them kind of land on like definitive cause? Be like, this is the guy. Let's go get him. What was the big selling point?
I think all those things that we just talked about together. I don't think it.
That's a creep.
Oh, there was one other thing. Is they found a knife sheath, which is what you put the knife in.
Oh, did you know this, Kyle? Breaking news. Also, okay.
It was a leather one too.
Okay, I'm a little concerned about. Okay, Kyle, you like knives. I like knives. Do you have a sheath for any of your knives?
I think a couple, yeah.
But these are not regular carries, because usually when you have a knife that has a sheath, it's usually like a handcrafted, like Damascus, or maybe like it has
some kind of specialty.
It has an elk antler handle, like
it's a special.
It's a handcrafted thing. They're usually not very sharp unless you get them like very taken care of, and they're very like outdoorsy hiking thing that you pull it out if you're like Indiana Jones.
Well, it's a K-bar if you didn't know that.
K-bar? What's a K-bar?
It's like a military issue. Had USMC on it.
Yeah.
His knife.
Yeah.
Was it his knife? So I am hearing
allegedly,
two stories. I heard it was, they don't know if it's his. And then somebody told us that it was one of the people who owned the house's knife. So I don't know.
K-bars, how long are they?
They're pretty big.
They're like more than 6 inches?
I'd say so, yeah.
Interesting. So, okay. So these are military style, like... Okay.
Let's see.
Okay, so it's not like a flip switchblade pocket knife kind of thing. It's something it's basically
K-bar.
Oh, this is a Rambo knife.
Yeah, it's
a Rambo. It's a Rambo knife.
That's intense.
That has a sheath for sure.
Yeah,
but also
it has to.
Nobody.
So yeah, this is what.
Yeah.
Combat. It's a combat blade.
It's a combat. knife. It's a Rambo knife. It's definitely like an 8-inch knife at least. It's one that definitely is only in a sheath. You don't just put that in your pocket and walk around.
So that was the thing. I think the biggest piece of evidence they found was the sheath, and it had his DNA. And the way they were able to track his DNA was through like a what is it called, like a genealogy thing, like because
they did 43andMe.
Because his DNA isn't in the system because he's never been arrested. They were somehow able to narrow it down to like his immediate like family kind of pool, gene pool. So I think they were able to track it down to like his dad or something like that. Okay. And therefore it was like, well, obviously it was him.
I heard that, so he's arrested. They're going through the prosecution and the trials and all that stuff. I heard that he was a criminal justice major.
That is another really weird and crazy turn of events. Was he graduated with a degree in criminal justice and criminology. Yeah,
and he went on Reddit to start a forum or whatever they would call on Reddit, a Substack, whatever it is, in a discussion where he prompted people saying, "Hey, I'm a criminal justice major. Can you take the survey to help me understand the mind of a criminal?" And it was like a short thing where it's like, have you ever thought about committing a crime? If you did, what made you want to do it? If you did follow through with it, how did it make you feel the day of? What did it make you feel like after you'd done it? And he got all this feedback from people. So that's a wild thing. And then on top of that, once this crime was done, this is from outside sources. I heard that when he got back to, I think, Pennsylvania or something like that, when he was amongst some of his peers, his inner circle said that he looked happy. And supposedly he has a track record of being either awkward or unhappy or discontent, or whatever it is. But they said that he looked very happy, like that he was, like he felt different in a good way.
That's weird. Yeah. And really, really sad if it is him.
Yeah.
Who committed these murders. It sounds like the thing that is crazy to me is if it had to have been a crime of passion, because if it was well thought out, I think he would have done a better job of not leaving evidence like a.
You think he got seized as a criminal justice major?
Listen, if he has a degree in criminal justice, I don't think he made it out there with A pluses.
I wouldn't have him go to
And then
county.
they found a footprint, I believe, as well. I don't remember if it was in the outside or inside.
It was in the snow.
It was in the snow. That's right.
Footprint
in the snow.
Just a footprint. Here's the thing about footprints is you got to be wearing the same foot or shoe when
got to be wearing the same foot
when they're tracking you, because that it creates a certain pattern of the bottom of your foot.
I think they were just more measuring like the size of foot to see if maybe it matched up with his size of foot. Obviously, he's not going to have those same shoes. He probably threw them away.
Well, if his dad has to fly to go drive back home with him, he probably has one pair of shoes.
That's his only pair of shoes. He was probably driving barefoot.
Yeah, it's a wonky scenario. It's not so clear cut and dry.
And that's why I think it's like perplexing people, is because...
Is it perplexing or proplexing?
Perplexing.
Okay. You said proplexing.
No, I said perplexing.
Kyle?
On the record.
Superplexing.
Superplexing. It was... Yeah, so because it's not cut and dry, but also everything's pointing to him, but he's very adamant that he's innocent.
Well, listen,
his whole thing was, I can't wait to be exonerated because like it didn't do it. I'm excited to be exonerated.
I have not read enough cases like this to have like a huge comparison, but what I will say is, out of the creepiest of the creep people, if he is a criminal justice major and he is the suspect on this, and he is the one that did a survey, and
how creepy is that?
It's the creepiest.
He probably had this inside of him, but it like finally manifested or something. But I was going to say, I think he was maybe plotting it or like thinking about it, but kept like the fact that his car kept leaving that like neighborhood 3 times. He was probably like, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. Or maybe he was just going to come over and be like, hey girls,
who wants some?
What's up? Maybe
So-
he thought there was a party. I don't know, but I think based on like maybe he was like very frantic after it happened and left the knife sheath and didn't obviously like clean up. He took the murder weapon obviously with him if it was him, allegedly. Keep having to
Did
say
you know?
that.
I recently heard that in terms of DNA, and I don't know how it goes against knives, but I heard pistols like guns have a very difficult way of capturing DNA because guns have a lot of grease on them, and there's one aspect that grease is able to register a fingerprint easier, right? Because there's now basically a cement that is being imprinted or displaced. But on another side of things, because it's a grease, it makes it difficult too. So your trigger finger is only such a small reference point, so there's not a lot they can capture. But what they can capture is like the way you're holding the side of the handle of the gun. You'll get maybe 3 fingers in there somehow. I don't know. So I can only imagine with a knife. And I mean, you and I have done passport fingerprints. I've had other times fingerprints done for like medical records, and like to get them done just right, it's tough.
I know they. So
Good luck using your biometric fingerprint on your phone the first time.
I know it would like never work. So they found his DNA on the sheath, so it was leather. So I wonder if that made a difference. If it's easier to.
Maybe. I don't know how
collect.
I don't know how DNA works. I really
Maybe
don't. But it's such
maybe
a,
it was like his blood or I
usually
don't know.
when it's
Maybe it was his
blood or
sweat.
hair, I think those are the two.
Maybe hair, yeah. Maybe it wasn't a fingerprint because they just said DNA.
Yeah, DNA would probably be like hair or blood or something like that.
Sweat,
Yeah. I don't know about sweat if that goes.
Maybe
So
it's like fingernail. I don't know.
So what are your hot takes on like you said crime of passion? Like what do you, because I have a theory. My theory is that he was this incel, this involuntary celibate dude who couldn't get girls.
Although he claimed he could, apparently.
Yeah.
Some friends.
The people
some
who
friends
say
came
that
out
are
and
people
said
who
that.
can't.
I know. If
Yeah.
you're saying things like that, okay.
Yeah, his Call of Duty buddies are saying like, oh, he gets butt all the time. No, but like I think if that's the case, I think maybe he knew that they're going to a party that
Or just
he
came back
doesn't-
from a party.
that he's not invited to. Maybe they came back from a party and they're like, well, they're going to be intoxicated and I can make my way over there and then they're going to be all over me and I finally am going to get it, right? And then it just turns out that they were like, no, thank you. And he was like, whoa, spazzes out. I'm here. And then just kind of goes into this rager. Now, why
The
does
fact
he...
that he had a knife,
Why
though,
does he
on
have
him?
we can't even just call it a knife. That's a Rambo sword. Like,
So he was, that was what makes me think like, okay, maybe it was a crime of passion, but also he planned something. Why the heck would you just carry a knife with you?
and why not?
And then also, if maybe that was his story of like, I just want to like hang out with these girls, but then it turned into like, something escalated. Why kill the other roommate and her boyfriend?
I could see when something like
And
that
they were on a
happens,
different floor, which is crazy.
I could see if well, now I'm backtracking a little bit. So now I'm thinking if he truly was, by the way, there's going to be a movie made about this guy in the next 5 years.
There's so many spins to like, I think that's,
He's our Ted Bundy, except not good looking.
yeah. And like, I think people are wondering why things are just not adding up. So people are like, what the heck? Because he only killed.
That's a good way of seeing what the community's thinking.
Things aren't as they seem, I think. And so everybody's just like diving into what the heck happened because it wasn't just like he killed everybody in the house. There was people left alive. Why did he only kill those? He's claiming he's innocent. There's like so many factors.
Would you rather hear him go, I really like this girl and then I went crazy? Or would you rather hear the story of him constantly denying everything and then just to find out that he had like a mental breakdown at some point of his life and then he just
neither is like okay.
He was bloodthirsty.
Yeah, maybe like the girls, maybe he was like hitting on one of them or liked one of them and she kept denying him like before that and he just got like fed up with it and was like, that's it. Like he kind of broke.
And then also, if you're a criminal justice major and you're studying maybe about all these other crimes that happened, wouldn't you want to figure out quicker ways to kill people at masses?
Not with a knife, yeah.
Right? A knife, a stab. Because he's probably thinking everybody's tucked in, sleeping. I'm just going to go and then up to the next one.
No, but that's not how it works.
That's not how it works. If you bring a gun, it makes a big bang. And you go bang, cool, bang, bang, bang. But that's very loud.
To be too quiet.
So there's a... But then you can go poisoning and stuff like that. It has to be as the psychopathic, like, thirst for blood.
Something inside of him was like, I want to go the old school way.
The old school way. He's a purist.
The fact that he had... So I just read, like, while you were talking a minute ago, that they couldn't trace the knife back to him buying it. So he either, like, found it somewhere, got it from somebody.
Well, it's a Rambo knife. Like, you
can get it anywhere.
I don't know where you go get one. You probably get one from, like, Facebook Marketplace or something like that.
Oh, maybe, yeah. Maybe you bought a Facebook Marketplace.
Every time I've held one of those things, they're the dullest things in the world.
That's really sad.
That is dull?
Yeah.
What?
I'm sure because
like, you're talking about in terms of murdering?
In terms of murdering.
Well, your puncture. The puncture is what you're thinking about. You're essentially getting stabbed with like a spear kind of thing.
Yeah. It's like very, very sad and gruesome. And if it was him, it was really sad to see. Actually, I watched a little clip of him in court when they just did his last hearing, where he waived his right to a speedy trial, or speedy, not trial, but speedy hearing. What is it? Basically, like, to have be able to do it quicker. He waived that right. So now the next hearing is in June, where I think he is gonna plead, right? Guilty or not guilty? Because he didn't plead yet, did he?
No, not yet.
So that's the next one, right?
Yeah, the preliminary. And they'll present more evidence. And
yes, and then that gives the time for the defense to see. They are going to see what the prosecution has against them and be able to, like, build a better case.
Yeah. Interesting.
Which is, I didn't even know, like, this all happens before even a trial. That's wild.
Yeah. The justice system is...
There's a lot. There's a lot of
that
hearings. Yeah. A lot of things that happen, moving parts before even they get to that point. So now the next years will be in June, and that's when
they ever interviewed his parents and asking, like, is there... Because they're probably, like, the lawyers are advising the parents not to talk about it.
Oh, 100%.
But it'd be interesting to hear, like, his childhood. Was he suspicious about anything?
I think friends are coming out and saying he was, like, a little bit awkward and just...
well, there's a lot of people that are a little awkward. You know?
Yeah. But I know it might be nothing out of the ordinary. It's just wild, crazy. Yeah, so now people are just going to be waiting until June to see what happens. But I'm sure there's going to be so many stories and spins on this that are going to come out. And more.
Yeah. If he's guilty and my snout is out, I think this is our front row seats to watching, like, the making of a murder, right? Because it's one thing when you have somebody perform a horrendous event like the Colorado movie theater shooting and all that stuff. But when you have somebody so premeditatively, like, studying, you know, the intricacy of what creates a criminal and you know, murders and him studying that's what makes me think, like, this is a Ted Bundy situation.
Yeah, like, something is off and feels weird. But it was what I was going to say before is I watched a little clip and where he walked in with, like, his lawyer, and I don't know, it just seems so sad because he just looks like a normal dude.
Maybe I gotta watch another picture of him because the picture you showed me looks creepy.
He does look creepy on pictures. If you watch the video, he almost looks like scared. It's really sad.
Well, have you seen the people who are, like, the shooters in these, like, mass shootings? They're like, their eyes are, like, beating out of their heads, like, they're not. And then they lose their mind when they're getting, like, a death sentence. Like, they're surprised. You know, it's like, it's truly a psychotic breakdown.
Yeah. Because it's like, if you see here, I'll show you the clip. He it's him in court.
Let me see it.
He, like, stands up and just, like, says, like, yes, and it's
knows his place. All right.
He's just like, he just looks like he's
nervous.
I
don't know. I'm still not saying I've said the back of his head on this one, but
I think that's like a news video, but
Yeah, listen, wild case, wild story. Everybody's got their opinions.
I do think it was. I think
definitely
so
not-
many things point to him. I think he did do it, but
There
I just
should
want to
be-
know why.
I would love to hear, once everything breaks down, the details of like where were you the night of the murder and all those little details. And what's
Yes,
your
I
upbringing
want to.
like.
I want to hear more. That obviously,
But you girls like that making of a murderer kind of thing. You're
prosecution isn't sharing yet.
Like, geez, you are.
The true crime stuff.
I didn't realize that you were
It's
a
super
criminal justice
interesting.
major. Yeah.
Actually, I took some criminal justice classes, and
Yeah, we all took like the 101 class.
no, I did like I did a few of them. I enjoyed them.
More than two?
Maybe 2 or 3. I can't remember. It was good.
It was two, Kyle. Okay. Listen.
101 and 102.
Listen, if you guys can't trust the legal system, you can trust the fact that these two investigators are on the case.
We'll keep you updated.
Live, up-to-date stuff.
Yeah.
Believe that you will hear it first from us, next door neighbors.
Next door neighbors, you'll hear it here first.
Tell your neighbors, tell your friends.
If you have a crazy story you want us to talk about,
Yeah, crazy case.
We'll do it.
And you want us to crack it, let us know.
the next door neighbors are on the case.
Thanks for listening. That's a good one. I like that. Thanks for listening. We'll catch you guys on the next one. Bye.
Bye.